And joining us now, the senator from the great state of South Carolina, Tim Scott. How are you, Senator?
Congressman, I'm doing really well. Thank you very much. And congratulations on the 7 o'clock hour on Sunday evening. Awesome.
Well, look, I'm as surprised as you are that they offered me a show, but thank you for saying that.
Absolutely.
You gave the Republican response to President Biden's State of the Union. And I thought you were masterful. I'm biased, but I thought you were masterful. I wonder what you would have said if you were giving your own State of the Union. What do you think the state of our country is now?
You know, Trey, that's wow. That's a hard question. If I was giving a national address, I think I would tell the American people three things. First, I would remind us of who we are. We are the most compassionate, capable, courageous people on the planet. Sometimes we forget that. And the first thing I would do is remind us of who we are. The second thing I would do is tell us that we will confront our challenges together, whether those are social or economic or global challenges. One of the things I said during that rebuttal was that America is not a racist country. I preceded that by talking about the fact that I have been discriminated against myself. Here's the one thing you don't do when you're confronting your challenges together. You don't reverse discrimination to have more discrimination to end discrimination. You actually would work on a plan that expands opportunity. And you'd focus yourself on those global challenges, those folks or those countries like China or Iran who wants to make us their target. The thing I'd do next is close with something more optimistic, that the next American century starts here, it starts now, and it starts with you, and it starts with me. We are going to do the most remarkable things. We've survived a civil war and a global pandemic. We came out stronger and more resilient because when we stick together, there is no place on earth like home.
I want to ask you about your personal journey in just a second, but I'm wondering,
Yes, sir.
as you're in Charleston tonight, what are you most if you had to pick one thing that you're most optimistic about with respect to our country, and then what would be the one thing that concerns you the most about our country?
The thing that I'm most optimistic about is that we have a history of overcoming challenges after challenges after challenges. And so I know how resilient we are, and out of every problem has appeared the greatest promise. Over every obstacle, we found the best opportunities. And we have been a nation born out of tragedy, and we always triumph. So I am very much excited about the American spirit, our ethos, and what's next for us. I actually think our best days, Trey, are ahead of us, without much of a question. What concerns me the most is the issue of justice. There seems to be, at times, an unequal application of our justice system. This is an area that we have to get right, because that is how we restore hope and create opportunities going forward. There's nothing that we can't do. And the good news is, if you believe in our birth certificate, as you said in the past, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, then we all want to confront those areas, those pockets of our society where the application of justice is still challenging. We have made so much progress, and we spend so little time talking about it. But those are the two polar opposites that I think I'd focus on, given that question.
Well, you mentioned a word, and I was in the justice system for 20 years, and you, Tim Scott, have done more in the time I've known you to get me to look at issues differently than even my 2 decades in the courtroom, because you bore eyewitness to the pain of our past. But you also are the first to talk about the progress that we have made in this country. And then you mentioned the word promise, the promise of the future. What is the right balance for us as a nation? We have to acknowledge the pain, but what is the right balance between the pain, the progress, and then the promise of tomorrow?
You know, I was having a conversation with my mom about history just in the last couple of weeks when we were at lunch, and one of the things I said to her was, I wish we'd spend more time in that big windshield while we're driving than we do in the little rearview mirror. I think the past should be something that teaches us, but someplace that we don't dwell. Too often I feel like we're dwelling in the past, not for its lessons, but almost reliving it as if 1865 and 1965 are somehow embedded in 2021. So I think the ratio I would use for the past, the present, would be the big windshield represents the present. The little rearview mirror represents the past. It should teach us, but we shouldn't dwell there. We can't wallow in it. And there are some very important lessons, painful lessons. Lots of people bear the scars of that pain. But the burden of living there is too high of a price to pay. And the more time you spend in the past, the less time you spend in the future.
Senator Tim Scott, thank you as always, my friend. I'll see you soon.
Look forward to it.